Go ahead, Andy Reid. I dare you to go 14-2 and allow Alex Smith to leave Arrowhead Stadium to leave Kansas City. Go ahead, I dare you. Because of Patrick Mahomes. Because you think you could turn Patrick Mahomes into something that Alex Smith is not. Alex Smith is a very good quarterback. The audacity, first off, to do this to Alex Smith, who's been very good and loyal to Andy Reid and won him a lot of football games, to dangle Patrick Mahomes out there because Andy Reid thinks he's some sort of quarterback whisperer, which he is not, by the way. He is not, because if he was, Alex Smith would be better than he's been the last few years. So I dare.
That's a record for contradiction.
It's on Andy Reid.
That is
the only reason Alex Smith is not better than Andy Reid.
That sets a world record for Stugotz not paying attention to any of the things he said the sentence before.
Not aging well. Oh, God. Me and that take. Yeah.
Mike, get yourself together, Mike. I need
Superbowl Saturday.
I need you to get yourself together, and
we'll get to that a little bit later.
You need to not do this base.
Glad I got it in.
Super Bowl Monday farting burping show, because put it on the poll, Guillermo at Le Batard Show. Is America farting and burping today because of Super Bowl Sunday?
They were wondering how those objects over the sky were staying afloat. They're just running off of Mike's intestinal gas.
Yeah. My farts don't go anymore. It's just
okay,
because it's all the stuff that's blocking the butthole. It's just all just poo.
Right.
All right, thank you. I don't need any more.
It's
of this.
It's just passing around the
Mike,
poo.
go sit in the penalty box. Go sit for 2 minutes.
Or
in
on the
penalty
toilet.
box. Just go. Fine. Go sit in the toilet.
Danny,
2 minutes for
get the
burping.
camera ready
Go-
in the bathroom.
Go away.
Let's move the green screen
go away
today.
for 2 minutes. Well, I don't want to do that show today. I'd like to be a little classier than every segment bathroom humor because you feel so bad physically.
Andy Reid basically schemed 2 touchdowns for the Chiefs in the fourth quarter, and it's just so funny to hear. Good Lord, man. It's ridiculous that Andy Reid's strategy or offensive ability would be in question in that clip from 6 years ago when Sky Moore was wide open. Yeah. How was he that open? How were there 2 touchdowns that were that simple on the goal line? I wish that I could get some sort of peek into how Andy Reid runs his offense inside the 10-yard line, because every other team seems to struggle, and he seems to come up with a new idea every week.
And he does it with an Uber Eats order on his desk too. I just imagine he's eating something, not even it just comes so easy to him. I don't imagine these are he's got a library of stuff. We're gonna go with this today. He'll be wide open, no problem.
It was the same play though. The last 2 touchdowns were the same play. They just ran on opposite sides, and the Eagles defense bit on Kelsey both times. I think
on the jet sweep action for more.
I think they were so afraid of Travis Kelsey that it really opened up the rest of the receivers for Mahomes.
It was cool though to watch Olsen point out the way that so Sky Moore comes across the formation, and the linebacker corners, whoever was on him, was well, they're going to run the jet sweep thing. So he darts towards the other side. I got to get to the other side of the line in time. Otherwise, and then to use the tendency against you. It was so cool to watch that happen in real time, where it's all right, so Philadelphia thinks that they're going to do this because they've scouted it, and this is what they know. This is what Vic Fangio taught them in his 2-week contract, and then just do the complete opposite thing that you're prepared for.
But also what allows you to do it, and this is where some
Mahomes.
of this, it's not just Mahomes.
Kelsey.
Yes, it's the mastery. When you have to fear at the goal line, and it's the greatest tight end quarterback combination, since Gronk and Brady. But how are the Chiefs great in the red zone? Well, they have Kelsey, and he does a lot of things in the red zone, and you would understand why Philadelphia would have to choose. We're going to get swept into something that triggers Kelsey. Both times when they showed the play, and Olsen, Stugotz, had a big day yesterday.
Olsen was great.
But at the end of the game, people are already saying Tom Brady shouldn't replace Olsen because of how on top of the last moments of the game he was strategically. He called the game before it happened and yelled at the Chiefs to get down and not score on purpose. He had a big day yesterday, but what Whittingham is talking about, Andy Reid on the goal line is scheming open. It's so hard to score inside of 7 yards, that many athletes in a tight space. So many teams have to settle for field goals. when you have Kelsey and Mahomes, they kind of open everything up for the Chiefs everywhere else.
They don't kind of open up everything else. They do open up everything else. You're saying to yourself, don't let Kelsey beat us. And that's what you have to do if you're the Eagles, and that opens everything up. It's going to be interesting with Brady and Olsen next year. It really is, because Olsen has proven
it's not
to
next
be.
year. It's going to be 2024. Brady's saying he's not doing it next year. He's not doing anything at all.
That's because he's playing. That's right. I forgot. He's not doing anything at all. That's funny.
That's what he says. I'm just telling you that he says he's not broadcasting next year.
Okay.
So we'll have another year to like Olsen even more.
Stugotz, he filed his paperwork, just so you know.
He did.
It was reported, but you know who didn't?
Who?
JJ still hasn't filed his paperwork.
Of course. Classic JJ. I mean, he's back.
Just keep an eye on it, Dan.
I thought it was interesting that on the Chiefs' touchdowns, none of those passes were particularly difficult skill level passes. They just out-schemed the Eagles' defense. And
Well, that's the thing. Like, you guys are talking about personnel, and I understand personnel has a huge part to play, but other teams have great players too. Other teams have great quarterbacks too, great tight ends, great receivers. They're not that open.
I mean, Mahomes and Kelsey did a lot during the drives to get to that point. But, like, those touchdowns were all just offensive, outmastering the Eagles' defense. And the Eagles' defense and special teams had a rough second half. I mean, the punt return, that was almost a touchdown. And, like, that was the game. Like, that was it. You could point to the Jalen Hurts weird fumble thing in the scoop and score. Yeah, that was important too. But that was an awful special teams play.
Why are we giving all the credit to Andy Reid and not Eric Bieniemy? Because Reid was going out of his way last night to try to get Bieniemy a job. Like, hey, he made all the calls in the final couple of minutes of that game. He was great.
Well,
it's a weird thing we're doing with him.
Let's talk about what it is that Whittingham is saying, which is the same play worked twice. That area of the field is the most congested, hard to score. Why is that guy out in the flat, whether it's Tony or I don't know who the second one was?
Sky Moore.
Okay.
Sky Moore, yeah.
Both of them were the same play, same fear, tricked them in that what you're fearing ultimately, and I understand why you would fear this, given that all of a sudden, you're looking at a quarter and now they're just throwing to Juju Smith-Schuster. Now that's who they're going to use to bludgeon you. But those two guys in that play, what you're fearing is just speed. It's just speed. It's if I let this guy get a head start on me when he comes in motion, I'm doomed on the play. And so what you're fearing isn't just tendencies, Whittingham. It's that their offense with that quarterback is so fast that what are you going to do in the second half? The answer is nothing. The answer is in the second half, you're going to get your head caved in. That Mahomes is going to be that defense, which incidentally, Stugotz, couldn't get pressure when they are historically good at getting pressure. One of the best we've ever seen. Did Mahomes look bothered to you? Did Mahomes look to you swamped in the Super Bowl, like in the Super Bowl that he lost, that he was being chased around all over the place?
Not at all. No. He had time.
How is that possible? The Eagles have gotten pressure with 4 all season at a historic rate. And all of a sudden, Mahomes is unbothered. That second half is a second half for the ages. And you can diminish it by talking about a call or blaming the Eagles for choking or whatever else. But I thought we were going to give guys their legacy as they wrote it in front of us when they do difficult things. The Eagles are exceptional. Mahomes broke him over his knee. Second half, they could not stop him. Not with Fangio, brought in with consulting work. There was just no stopping that offense. God bless Toradol.
That second half, to your point, Ed Warder tweeted this. The Chiefs in the second half, 0 penalties, 0 turnovers, 0 punts, 0 sacks allowed, 1 incompletion, and he threw it away. That was the one throw away. Like that, it legitimately a perfect half by Patrick Mahomes.
That was your kind of Super Bowl, man. You've been waiting for that type of game your entire life. You have coaches willing to go for it on 4th down from any spot in the field.
Well, this is the thing, is people will make it about a call here or a missed field goal or Jalen Hurts fumbling in a game where you couldn't make a mistake. I did find interesting that not only did Mahomes win, but Mahomes won with their guy going for it 4 downs to get 10 yards and your guy not exactly doing that.
Right.
That Philadelphia kept getting extra plays in a game of offense where you weren't going to stop either team because they were playing, we're getting the 10 yards on 4 plays. We're not going to do it first down, second down, third down.
But in a game where you had to be perfect, Jalen Hurts, he was great, Dan. He was great. I'm not certain he doesn't deserve to be the MVP of that game. I'm serious. That's how good he was, but he made the one mistake. And you needed to be perfect. And he made that one mistake in the first half.
But you're right, and this is what I have to tell you because I think it's important in the analysis of that game. That the Eagles are excellent at what they do. The Eagles are doing it 4 downs at a time instead of 3. The Eagles are trying to push all of the math of the game to you can't stop our offense, and yet still the Chiefs beat them anyway because you couldn't make a mistake against them. You made a mistake, and you needed to be able to do it perfectly because the game plan was Stugotz, and it was working. Hold the ball.
Yes.
We're not going to stop Mahomes with our defense. The defense is just hold the ball for a 17-play drive, longest in the history of the Super Bowl, to get a field goal. And we're all, as soon as they get the field goal, we're like, oh, you're bleeped. You're bleeped because you had to settle for a field goal after 17 plays because your game is we're one of the best teams in the sport right now, and our whole strategy is don't give the ball to Mahomes. Don't give it to him. Just keep it away from him.
That was Fangio's idea, actually.
It's 17 place drives. That's right. His strategy is,
they
gave him a consulting fee to come in and absolutely just say, you know what we need to do? Just don't let Mahomes have a lot of drives.
We got to get this guy a ring if we win.
He couldn't account for those 7 points, though. I mean, the ones that Hurts gave up. That's not Fangs' fault. I mean,
but that's the margin of error in that game. You can't.
That play, yes.
He should have said don't fumble. He probably forgot to say that part. That's on him. That's on Fangio. He needs to be better.
I mean, that play, Dan, you needed to be perfect. And the Chiefs weren't perfect, but their mistake did not cost them as much as the Eagles' mistake cost them. Their mistake cost them 3 points. The Eagles handed them 7. Who's holding up best here on Super Bowl Monday? Because Mike is the worst. He's fallen apart. What has happened to Mike Ryan after a day of eating and drinking? He is just not capable of functioning and doing his job today. And he's the worst. But are any of you in good shape? Are any of you feeling spry today after last week's Super Bowl week, which devoured, I'm assuming, Jessica, Billy, and Stugotz, and Danny, and Juju? I'm assuming the whole week just sort of bent over and farted you back to Miami.
I didn't know where you were going with that sentence. I don't think any of us are doing as bad as Mike. He looks like he's sweating and shaking. He's sitting on the toilet right now. It's actually quite disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Roy's probably not in great shape, but we'll hear about that tomorrow.
The rest of you, Billy, how are you holding up?
I'm good. I mean, I don't have any issues. I'm, doing my job.
Feel okay.
Yeah. I can feel bad if you want me to.
Do you miss Radio Row?
That's a great
That's
question.
an interesting question.
I miss it, and I wasn't even there.
I think 4 days is enough.
Can I just hear the hiss in the? Can we just get that under? I just want that sound.
It's like a sensory deprivation chamber. Like you go down there and you don't see any sunlight or sky. Yeah. And then you don't know how much time you've actually spent down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come back out, you don't know what day it is. You don't know what meal you're on. You don't know what's going on.
It's like Vegas.
This year
exactly like being in a casino, honestly. But a casino full of like former football players, and it's a much worse casino. Honestly.
This year was actually in a basement. Like you had to go down below the ground.
Yes.
For doing it. Like the convention center was underground, which I don't remember it being like that in the past.
And you guys come home drained because Stugotz, the angriest I saw Stugotz last week.
Oh boy.
And I think he was entitled to his anger. Because he is hobnobbing with the greats on Radio Row. They're all celebrating him, treating him like the legend that he is, the private jet legend that he is, telling him what an influence he was in their lives.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the week, he has to go scurry after fake Andy Reid in an act that he felt was beneath him, that somebody
It's
should...
not that. It's just no one moved when I said it. And so someone listen, you got to finish the job. I can't walk around Radio Row on Friday telling the kids to dig deep and not dig deep myself. And so I dug, and I found the fake Andy Reid. I did. I found him. I got my guy. I mean,
But you are questioning the endeavor of the other people around you. Why do I still have to go chasing after? No one's motivated around here. I got to be the one that goes to do this.
Now, Billy, I understood. Danny, I understood. Juju, I even understood. They were exhausted, okay? But Dan did say, someone get the fake Andy Reid, okay? And I'm the only one who moved.
Yeah, but you also sat out all of the interviews that were with this show.
Totally
and decided
fair
you
point.
weren't going to do them. So
I was just
someone had to sit
lashing
at that
out.
table
Not at
and
anyone
work.
in particular. I was just lashing out. I had a moment. And then I thought to myself, Billy, you know what? I'm giving advice to all the kids, and I got to follow my own advice. And I went and got him. Now, we'll air it this week on Stupidity, I think. But I got my guy. I didn't get it for Dan. I got it for myself.
I've got to side with Stugotz. I do believe that at this point in his career, it should be beneath Stugotz to have to chase down the fake Andy Reid at Radio Row.
I don't know. The content is pretty good. A video of Stugotz waddling over and interacting, like that's good content too. You know, it's not as funny if Danny does it.
Is it just me, or does the fake Andy Reid look more like Andy Reid than Andy Reid does?
I'm with you.
What does that mean?
I can't explain it.
I saw Andy Reid during pregame, and I'm like, no, that's the impersonator. That's not him.
Yeah.
But it was him. But it wasn't. It was weird.
Stugotz, you got him. You got your guy. But
Yeah. Not for you, though. I'm sorry
no,
about
that's
that.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll still have trickles of Super Bowl coverage in the feed this week with Stupidity. But one of the great underreported moments from last week, because Radio Row can be such an unholy frenzy, I do not believe that enough was made around here at the ease with which Myles Garrett slung Billy over his shoulder. Billy is not small. Billy, I wouldn't call Billy light. I wouldn't call him heavy, but I would say...
What would you call me?
I would say that you're about 180 to 200 pounds, I would assume, and he put you over his shoulder.
Like a backpack.
Like a something that, yes, like a backpack.
Like
Excellent.
I pick up my backpack. That's the way he lifted Billy up.
Yeah.
I mean, I marveled as well. Billy, it was pretty impressive.
It was awesome.
He carried you around.
Yeah. I actually at one point was like, how long are we going to do this for? Like, can I get
But
down?
he could have done it. He could have gone
all day.
He could have walked around the whole facility with you on his shoulder. He was having no trouble.
He should have done it.
Well, I think he's recovering from like a toe injury or a foot injury also, right?
Yeah,
And
he dislocated his toe during the Pro Bowl.
No issue. I've always like fancied the idea of having a giant that could just carry me around because like I'm usually larger than most people that I encounter, surprisingly, right? So I've always like I pick up like a little kid. I'm like, man, wouldn't it be great for like just a giant to come around and like pick me up and carry me around? Like I feel like that's like a life thrill. And then it happened to me, and I was like, wow, I didn't think this was a real thing. But there are giants that can just pick me up and carry me around like nothing.
And you wanted it to end though, so it wasn't
I
as
did.
good. It
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
as good as you thought it'd be.
No, it wasn't what I thought it would be.
What did you think it was going to be? Because it was not unlike burping a baby, correct? It would have been that easy. We could say it was that easy to get Billy off the ground the way you would hold a baby and burp him.
He could have spun him like a pizza.
Yeah.
Did he burp you, Billy?
And I was gassy. A little gassy in my tummy. He didn't burp me.
Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's going on with Mike Ryan?
Who
Mike
knows?
Ryan was supposed to be enduring a 2-minute penalty stint, and it has now been 20
Just
minutes.
guzzling Tums and Advil.
Is he sitting on the floor in the bathroom?
What is happening here? Because I would have assumed that this would be Chris Cody's shape, but Chris Cody, in what passes for moderation around here, decided, nope, today I will be responsible. I will either only overeat or overdrink. I will not do both.
I mean, I've grown.
So you did nothing but food. What kind of mix of awful things did you
Oh,
put together
it was-
that you regretted in the morning?
It was one of my friend's wife's birthday too, and he got every single thing she had. We had Panda Express noodles. We had chicken wings from her favorite spot. It was just like a conglomerate of just random things that were all awesome. Oh, so good.
Is
Take me
that the
back.
first time that Panda Express has been served at a Super Bowl party?
I think so.
I'm asking
But
seriously.
It was delicious.
Mm.
It was you've never had Panda Express? Oh, at a Super Bowl party.
Right.
That's a weird. Yeah, that's an interesting Super Bowl.
Well, it was. I
takeout.
think he was trying to specifically like not have it be Super Bowl-y. Because she's not a big football fan, so it was like, no, this is not Super Bowl day. He had a sign that said "Super" and her name under. Get it? Because it's like this isn't Super Bowl day.
Super
This is-
Diane.
Yeah, but it was a really fun party, and the food, the spread. Oh my god, I ate so many churros. I mean,
Super Susan.
I must have had 7 churros.
You've grown. I mean,
And
Literally.
and how did you feel? And when did you start to regret some of these things? Is it on the drive?
About midway
home?
through the 6th churro, and my wife's like, "How many of those have you had?" And I was like,
Oh,
Were they full size?
Oh,
like
no.
"Oh, they were
in the
like,
stadium?
they were a good like 8 inches."
no,
God.
no, you didn't get the wife. How many of those have you
Oh yeah,
had?
I got that with
Wait,
multiple items.
So, Chris, you didn't have any dips?
What dips were there? No, there was bowls of chips, but not actually. There was one buffalo chicken dip.
Okay.
There was one
'Cause you
buffalo
have to
chicken
have,
dip.
You have to have at least like 3 dips.
But
on
remember,
Super Bowl
he was
Sunday.
purposely making this spread not look like a Super Bowl spread. It was more just like regular food than the dips. But did I go to town?
Who did it best around here? Because Billy is saying he's fine. Billy, did you abstain from any overindulgences other than Rihanna?
No, I was fine. I mean, I went to a Super Bowl party. There was one of those giant inflatable screens in the backyard with a projector. It was a fun time had by all.
What about food? What'd you got? What'd you consume?
Did you eat any dips?
No, I had like chicken. There was like some churrasco that was cooked up and that was sliced into like pieces of meat. They walked around just with like a tray of meat and you
I
could, like,
love that.
grab like little finger food churrasco. Oh, delicious.
Something that can escalate very quickly. The little strips of meat. You go from like I'll have like 3
Oh,
to
yeah.
like you can get to 20 to 25 pretty quickly, pretty easily.
That's
Eating
how
them
you-
with your fingers.
That's
right?
how you serve meat, just in general now. I've changed because I used to be a guy, you cook a steak and you would just like have a full steak on my plate and I'd cut up individual bites. Now you cook steak, slice it all up. And then it's more
Classy.
just like, I'll take like 6 pieces. You know what I mean? It's just so much better than the old fashioned way of eating steak.
And then you can dip it.
Yep, exactly.
I'm still a traditionalist about steak.
It's not surprising.
I cooked one for myself last night, and that was my Super Bowl
That's
partaking.
I don't.
You had a lonely
I was just
Super
gonna
Bowl
say.
experience?
Yeah, no,
Sounds
yeah.
boring.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
God
it's
damn.
incredibly
Yeah,
sad, but
no, I traveled this weekend, so I was
Well,
like,
you didn't want to go to Mike's party anyways.
Did you have a nice time?
Apparently.
I did have a nice time, and so I decided Super Bowl. I need to be ready for work on Monday. You haven't asked me how I feel. I feel fantastic. I had a great Super Bowl. Made myself dinner. I ate a whole
What'd you
bag
have with
of
the steak? What'd you
I
have
ate a
with the
whole
steak?
whole bag of
But you
Tostitos
did
Scoops
it
by
s-
myself.
but you did it
Wow.
sad.
Just
Look
powered
at
through the
you.
whole
No
thing.
dip, just
Wacky
the chips.
Whittingham, yeah.
You monster.
I love plain tortilla chips.
Wait, That's
Yeah, I
you
don't-
buy the scoops without dip?
Yeah.
What? I could
Why
fight
not
you
just
right
get
now.
the triangles?
It should be a crime. I mean,
Crime?
Yes,
I agree.
Yes.
I
The
agree.
ones that are
Somebody call the
specifically-
cops.
the ones that
Danny,
are
call the
specifically
cops.
made for
Flavor.
dipping.
Call the police.
You don't dip.
No one's ever done it before.
Welcome, Dano.
You are the only one, Whittingham. You're the only one in the history of scoops doing it this way. The whole point of getting the scoops is to have some sort of dip on it.
He's so proud of himself for some
It's
reason.
just so wrong, and it should be criminally prosecuted. I don't think this is an overreaction from anyone in the room.
Do you put milk on your cereal? I mean,
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Weirder, eating cereal with no milk or eating Scoops Tostitos with no dip?
Can I brag about what I ate?
Well, I can get to that in a second. I want to go back for a second to the sad but efficient, responsible eating habits on, of course, Whittingham feels great today. He didn't take any real risks.
No, just had a steak dinner, a whole bag of Tostitos, and 4 high noons. That was my evening, and I paced myself. This was like over a period of 6 hours, and I felt fantastic. This
what
morning.
kind of steak? I mean,
I popped over to my local grocery store, grabbed a ribeye.
oh,
And
ribeye.
cooked it right up. A sad
Right
meal.
up. I learned I read some Gordon Ramsay thing on how to make a steakhouse quality steak at home.
what's the
And
prep? What are we seasoning with? Let's go. Let's hear it.
I make a mean brine. I brine it, and then what you do is you take the skillet, you put it in the oven first.
Did you stay for Next Level Chef afterward because you're now a culinary master? Did
No,
you stay?
I find most reality shows, like they do the cutaways to the interviews, I find them so formulaic that it's just not a format that works for me anymore. But yeah, so you put the skillet in the stove, you preheat the skillet, and then you leave the stove at the temperature.
You ever grab the skill
and then
with
you do
your
like,
hand?
You
and
do like 45 seconds both sides.
Like a reverse sear situation.
And then you chuck it in the oven for like 2.5 minutes on each side.
But you agree it's a sad and lonely Super Bowl party experience.
You
Yes.
know what?
I
mean,
imagine as he's cutting it though, he's just like, "This is nice."
You know what? That's exactly what I did. I don't mind. I don't mind my own
You enjoyed
company.
it, yeah.
Why is it that like whenever
Looks
I'm
in the
with
mirror.
you.
whenever
I
people
enjoy
are by,
me.
I'm with you.
Whenever people are by themselves, people always go, "Oh, that's lonely. That's sad. How could you ever live like that?" I had so much fun yesterday. I could have
Preach.
gone to a party. I could have been driving at 10:30 at night, all trying to like sober up before you get on the road. No, instead, I just get to enjoy the evenings.
But it's
home. I watch
why
the game.
it's
I know
why this show is washed from a lot of different angles. It's you being responsible. It's Chris Cody overindulging half as much.
I've grown.
It is Billy landing like a javelin from Arizona and springing again into his work week fresh. And yes, Jessica, we have not gotten to what or how you ate because you seem like you're fine today. As well, it seems like Mike, Stugotz, me, Chris Cody are the ones hurting the most.
Anyways, I'm actually doing pretty well. I had Indian food yesterday. I had jerk chicken wings. I had homemade spinach dip. Other than a few burps here and there, fantastic day. I also made sugar cookie bars, Dan. You probably can't eat them, but they're in the kitchen. Anyone who wants one.
Indian
Get in there.
food combined with jerk sounds like it could be a dangerous game.
It was one of the best days of my life.
Sounds
food-wise,
delicious.
and I feel fantastic, despite coming back from Arizona feeling like a shell of myself, Dan.
Because
I have stress eczema breakouts. I think I'm allergic to Arizona or sheets or something. It was
Itchy.
yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Weird.
The air was dry. Stugotz, did you
Billy,
wake up
yeah.
with like a dry throat thing going on?
Dry throat.
'Cause,
I've been itchy. My legs have been itchy since I got back.
Same. My legs are
it's
itchy.
weird. Yes.
I think the desert to the Miami tropics, not a good combination. Once you're used to the humidity here and then you go to the desert and then you come back, I feel like I've been coughing up dust all week.
Arizona is the desert, and given what's happening regionally, not talked about enough, the water supplies that are depleted all around them, I fear in our lifetimes, as in the front row to the apocalypse, that we will see them run out of water and the housing market crash and everything else in Arizona.
They're
because-
probably out of water after the
boy.
shower I took after waste management.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yep.
it was a
How
hot
was
one.
that, by the way?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Appropriately named, I'm learning. The more you watch it, because it seems like, because I was talking to Amin, he went a couple days.
Yes.
Because I have a shit chat with Amin,
Right.
Chris Whittingham, and Brad Williams.
Of
where
course you do.
How's he doing
Where we
today?
put poop emojis when we poop. And I was just like anticipating.
this?
I was
What is-
anticipating the
what-
post waste management poop from Amin, and it came.
A shot.
It delivered.
Yeah.
What is this that you're doing?
We've talked about this before. We're just making sure we're all regular. I've talked about how I don't think I go every day, but they were like curious about it. And so now we just have a chat where we all put a poop emoji when we poop. Yeah. Sometimes Witty does it from here, and I'm like, oh, Witty's pooping.
Mike, how are you doing? You have
Good, I just made a phone call.
Mike, you want in on this chat?
I wish I could.
what happened to you yesterday? Why couldn't you show any
Are you in a
restraint?
costume? Did anyone ask? Did we address this already? Why are you dressed the way you're dressed today? Like you're wearing pit vipers, you're wearing leggings under shorts.
Yeah, well, I wore this last night. I swear to God, I'm wearing the same exact thing I wore yesterday. I was going for the Chiefs pretty hard. Had a couple futures, and then I went to bed at like 2 a.m. after walking home.
You look like Mojo.
Walking home.
And I don't want anybody to see my eyes. So.
Walking home?
For a mile. He walked for a mile. Why was
What?
that decision made? You didn't want to be driving?
Right. Yeah, no, the party was close enough. It was a nice little brisk walk.
And it was a lovely night in South Florida. Winter arrived again.
Yeah.
Why aren't you wearing leggings? That's a question.
But why are you still wearing everything you were wearing last night? Why couldn't you?
Because I kept hitting snooze on the alarm like 95% of America. And I just got it to the very last second so I could show up here on time. And I was like, when I was hitting snooze, I'm like, I'm dressed. So I can just brush my teeth and hop in the car and go.
Today has to lead the league in snoozes, right? Of all the days of the year.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Does the snooze button get hit a lot more today than other days? Stugotz, from just a sports standpoint, when championships are won and you're watching two teams that all of us watching, if we've been following football this season, everybody listening to this knows those are both excellent football teams.
Yes.
Good at offense. Offense is getting more and more space age. The coaches are figuring out to go for it on fourth down. Stopping all of these aliens from getting 10 yards on 4 plays, Stugotz, is hard. It's hard to do. They're physically strong. The Eagles have this one play where they can always get 2 yards because because it's just stupid. And
Whenever they want.
Whenever they want, they've got a play that they can always get 2 yards. And the Chiefs, it seems like they're hard to cover. Seems like it's hard to stop them. And so what you're watching yesterday is not just Americana and all the capitalism and all the commerce, but you're watching the best be the best. And Mahomes is now writing the new story on what a young quarterback in this league can be. You were ready to crown Burrow, and Mahomes just took another title.
I'm still ready to crown Burrow. I still think Burrow, I've revised. I do it every year, Dan. My top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. I do have a new top 5 quarterbacks.
Oh, okay. We got to get to that.
I have top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. It was a great game with 2 great teams. And, it's the rare game where the losing team, you kind of feel like they won. They won some respect. Like a lot of people fell in love with Sirianni, the way he approaches the game, going for it all the time. Unafraid, fearless coach.
Did they? I thought Sirianni was somebody that was polarizing because it feels like unearned arrogance. Hey, your team's really good, and you're fine too, but your team's really good. You're
going to start the game with crocodile tears and the national anthem, and then you're going to coach the way you coached and be unafraid to go for it in all those situations on the biggest stage with a billion critics watching. I found myself walking away from that game thinking, wow, Jalen Hurts may have been the best player on the field in that game, and Sirianni is a really, really good coach. And listen, Andy Reid, what he did at the end there, he prevented that moment that you have where Jalen Hurts had to go out there and get it done in the fourth quarter. Hurts didn't have to do it. And so you're left with a really good, positive feeling about Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' future. So it was a great game. It's one of the best Super Bowls we've ever seen.
It did seem like Sirianni let the moment get the best of him. I mean, I put a bet in on the Chiefs as soon as I saw those tears. I mean, he turned into Dan before freedom.
You put in a bet. That's where you bet on the Chiefs. You bet on the Chiefs.
Yeah, right there. I was like, hey, emotional, cool. He's not ready for this.
Andy Reid is ready.
Look at Andy Reid over there. He's eating a cheeseburger during the national anthem. The Eagles, Stugotz, I don't think their fan base is going to be real tolerant. My only rooting...
They're going to blame the referee, Dan. I mean, it doesn't matter what their own player says. They're going to blame the referee.
But at the end of the season, they lose, and that lament never gets heard 5 years from now. Mahomes won, your season ends. The team that Sal Paolantonio was saying, this is the greatest Eagles team that there's ever been. They didn't face a lot of crisis at the end of games. We have not seen Jalen Hurts have to do that at the end of games because
Sal is right though. This team would bludgeon the Nick Foles team, right? It would.
They're both excellent teams, but this one was really dominant.
You mentioned the no crisis at the end of games. I think that's what most people were lamenting when the penalty flag gets thrown because that was a third down. It was an incomplete pass. The Chiefs would have kicked a field goal with 1:45 to play,
right.
And you get to see Jalen Hurts in that moment. That's what everyone was robbed of.
We were stripped of that moment.
Right, we were stripped of, is it actually the team with the ball last will win the game? Because Philly would have had their chance. The game might have gone to overtime. We were stripped of so much drama with that flag being thrown. Bradbury himself said it was a hold, and it was a bit soft, but you can argue it was the correct decision. But that's ultimately the bit of sporting drama that everyone wants to neglect the rules so we can have.
It's what made Chiefs and Bills so special, so great last year. They were going back and forth, and you had that kind of game and then stripped of that moment at the very end.
Well, but this is going to be an interesting tension to watch over time as we get more and more addicted to this sport and stimuli. Give us our entertainment. This is all for entertainment. We want entertainment. Between the commercials, give us entertainment. It's got to be entertaining. It's got to be close games. It's got to be all decided by 3 points. Give us the dramatic ending. Keep making it more and more entertaining.
Right.
It's a made-for-TV product. Entertain me.
Take a knee at the one.
It's and you guys wanted the Chiefs to score at the end of that game, right? You wanted the Eagles to let them score because you wanted to see them go back and forth and have a college football overtime emerge.
Yes.
You wanted to get to be 70-65 because they're just going back and forth again and again and again.
But the Chiefs did the right thing. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. It's why Sirianni says he values his timeout. Really, the biggest play in that game, Dan, is the fact that he had to call a timeout because the play clock was winding down. He didn't want to give up 5 yards. He wasted a timeout. He yelled about it at the time because he values his timeouts, and he didn't have 3 at the end of the game.
That wasn't the play of the game. I can't believe
It wasn't?
No.
If he had a
biggest play of the
timeout
game?
there, then they have a chance. I mean,
I can't believe that this is what the margin for error, though. When we're talking
that's
about
what it's become.
when we're talking one fumble, one call,
Yes.
one decision, one timeout, you can't make any of those mistakes against the Chiefs. You can't. They're going to beat you. They're not going to punt. You can't make any of them.
But the Chiefs couldn't really make them against the Eagles either. In that first half, I mean, I was kind of having a go, and I think Mike has correctly pointed out that like there was one missed holding call, and they kicked a field goal that went off the post, and all of a sudden you have 8 minutes of possession, and you're down 10 at the half. The Chiefs weren't that bad in the first half. They made 2 mistakes, and they didn't have the ball the entire time.
That's a pretty absurd level of precision, is it not? We're in agreement that excellent football teams being so precise, because it's not like, hey, the Chiefs got everyone covered on that, and that's double covered, and how did Jalen Hurts hit A.J. Brown there? That play was covered. It's the only place the football can be, 45 yards away, to get the cornerback to spin. Like, that play's covered. That shouldn't be a 45-yard touchdown. It's just thrown 45 yards away in the perfect place. If that's what the offenses are, and you stop them, because you heard me say last week that Philadelphia had only 26 3-and-outs all season. You guys are in here really saying with a serious face, hey, on that one drive, there was a 3-and-out. You can't have that. You got to get some yards on every drive. You can't make that mistake against this kind of excellence. At the end of that, somebody's got to lose. And the only one who loses is the viewer who wanted drama at the end and was denied it because they were fiddling with the clock. Because the point's to win, right? It's not to entertain us, Stugotz.
the point is always to win, of course. You think Andy Reid cares about entertaining us? You think Andy Reid cares today that he stripped us of a great moment?
I just would have liked for the Chiefs to do the do-si-do huddle thing that they did again and just keep having your fun, unafraid the entire time to entertain
You didn't like
us.
that? You didn't like that game?
I'm annoyed.
The ending.
The ending was
ending,
great.
just the ending.
McKinnon doing that is a great ending. It was a
It's-
fantastic game.
I'm
Wire to wire.
I'm happy he did it. I've been asking a coach to do that for a long time, and one finally did it. But it did strip us of Hurts having the ability to go down the field and try to tie that game. I mean,
Yeah, but that was the
It was
point.
like
the point is to
I
win
know.
the game.
The game
I
was
agree.
38 to 35.
I
It was
agree.
it was a crazy game. It was like the last 80 seconds.
I said it was one of the great Super Bowls we've ever seen. It was. You just didn't have that moment at the very end where that's what defines quarterbacks, right? I mean, you didn't get it.
I thought we did have that moment the entire game. That was a career-defining performance from Patrick
No,
Mahomes.
Mike wants.
You said
Mike,
he had to win a second one to
wants
be
give it-
recognized.
He wants
He's got
to.
his second. You're right.
Stugotz wants
On
to.
a high ankle sprain.
Stugotz
Yep.
wants
That's
to give it
debatable.
to someone else. He wants to give it to Burrow. He's ready to move on.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
The
the
excel-
refs kind of gave it to him.
The excellence.
Not even 28 yet. He's got 10 more years of this at
so
minimum.
young.
He's got 5 more to catch Brady.
Stugotz wants to give it away to somebody else. The next Hurts. The next
might.
Burrow.
He might catch up to Brady.
Do it without the refs.
Someone described Patrick like he may not be the greatest we've ever seen, but he's the best we've ever seen. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. He's the best football player that we've seen play that position ever. At the height of his powers, there's been nobody better. Will he be the greatest? Apparently, he's got to win 5 more Super Bowls, and what Tom Brady did.
Well, he's got to win 6.
Yeah, what Tom Brady did is
He's got to win 6, but he's got to win 5. He can win 4 more with the Chiefs, and then go to another team. He has to win 1. That's what he
It
has
seems
to do.
unfathomable that
and then we'll
anybody
see. And then we'll
that
see.
anybody could replicate what Tom Brady did. But Tom Brady, as great as he is, was never this unstoppable on the field.
You see him with Moss.
Yeah, I did see him with Moz.
It was pretty unstoppable.
Okay, that year, fine. You've got
They lost that year, by the way.
You've got the one outlier where they were undefeated all season.
Look what he did with his wide receivers. They have a converted quarterback that was a 7th-round pick be their running back. They have the greatest tight end maybe ever. Cool. But he lost Tyreek Hill. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, the table scraps from Aaron Rodgers, the people that we were complaining weren't good enough for Aaron Rodgers.
I understand.
He just gets them and does something with them. Kadarius Toney,
That's your guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, huge
Yeah.
return. Huge return. Tony Pony.
That's
I was galloping through the Super Bowl
this is
party screaming Tony Pony.
Stugotz can do this. This is Stugotz's charm. He knows where everybody's paneling is, and Mike Ryan was just yelling at him, and then Stugotz just lobbed him. That's your guy,
You noticed.
That's
Tony.
my guy. Thank you for the credit. It's Tony's guy too. We're riding the Tony
You're
Ponies.
both Tony guys.
Yeah, always been. We've been here.
The only-
Mike's guy.
Population 3. Me,
Yes.
Mike, and Kadarius Toney. That's it.
Yeah.
You guys were on the punt return. You guys were galloping through the house you were in, yelling the
Yep.
Tony Pony.
Tony Pony.
Damn
let
right.
me ride that Tony Pony. Let me ride that Tony Pony. And I was going, please. And now someone else. on
Let
the
me
other side
ride
of
the
house.
Tony Pony.